James and the Giant Peach by Roald Dahl. Dramatized by Edward Phillips.
Until he was 4 years old, James Henry Trotter had a happy life. He lived peacefully with his mother and father in a beautiful house beside the sea. There were always plenty of other children for him to play with, and there was the sandy beach for him to run about on, and the ocean to paddle in. Then one day, James's mother and father went to London to do some shopping, and there a terrible thing happened. Both of them suddenly got eaten up, in broad daylight, mind you, and on a crowded street, by an enormous angry rhinoceros, which had escaped from the London Zoo. Poor James all at once found himself alone and frightened in a vast unfriendly world. He was sent away to live with his two aunts, Aunt Sponge and Aunt Spiker. Aunt Sponge was enormously fat and very short. She had small piggy eyes, a sunken mouth, and one of those white, flabby faces that looked exactly as though it had been boiled. Aunt Spiker was lean and tall and bony. She wore steel-rimmed spectacles, and she had a screeching voice. These aunts were selfish and lazy and cruel. They never called James by his real name, but always referred to him as, "You disgusting little beast," or "You miserable creature." They lived in a queer ramshackle house on the top of a very high hill. On a clear day, James could see the ocean far away on the horizon, a long, thin streak of blue like a line of ink beneath the rim of the sky. But James was never allowed to go down off the top of that hill. Neither Aunt Sponge nor Aunt Spiker could ever be bothered to take him out, and he wasn't permitted to go alone. The garden, which covered the whole of the top of the hill, was large and desolate, and the only tree in the entire place was an ancient peach tree that never gave any peaches. No other children were ever invited to come up to play with poor James, and as time went on, he became sadder and sadder, and more lonely. And then, one blazing hot day in the middle of summer, something very peculiar indeed happened. They were all out in the garden, and James had been put to work as usual, chopping wood for the kitchen stove. Aunt Sponge and Aunt Spiker were sitting comfortably in deck chairs nearby, sipping tall glasses of fizzy lemonade and watching James to see that he didn't stop work for one moment.
Auntie Sponge?
What is it now, you miserable little wretch?
I wonder, could I have just a little drink of lemonade? It's so hot today and...
Well, of all the cheek! Did you hear that, Spiker?
I did indeed, Sponge! That little brat wants some manners knocking into him! Get on with your work, you ungrateful good-for-nothing!
But Auntie Spiker, it's so hot. Couldn't we go down to the seaside on the bus for a little while? It's not very far.
Why, you lazy, idle, spoilt little brat!
How dare you! When there's all that wood to be chopped, you just wait till it gets cooler. I'm going to give you the hiding of your life, you disgusting little worm!
But Auntie Spiker...
Shut up! One more word out of you and... James, where are you going? Come back here at once. James, come back here or I'll make you wish you'd never been born!
Oh, if only I could get away from here. I'm so miserable. I'd give anything if I could leave this horrible place. But where could I go? What could I do? I don't even...
Stop talking to yourself. Come over here, little boy.
Oh, you startled me. Who are you?
Never mind who I am. I know who you are, and that's what counts. You're James, aren't you?
Yes.
I thought so. Well, I've got a present for you, James. You see this? You know what's inside this little bag? Oh, well, just listen for a moment.
What are they?
There's more power and magic in those things than in all the rest of the world put together. They're crocodiles' tongues, you see. That's what they are. 1,000 long, green, slimy crocodile tongues boiled up in the skull of a dead witch for 20 days and nights, with the eyeballs of a lizard, of course, fingers of a young monkey, the gizzard of a pig, 3 spoonfuls of sugar, and stew for a week and let the moon do the rest. It's well, here, you take them, they're yours. Take a large jug of water and pour all the little green things into it. Then very, very slowly, one by one, of course, add 10 hairs from your own head. That sets them off, you see. In a couple of minutes, the water will begin to froth and bubble, and as soon as that happens, you must drink it all down quickly in one gulp. And then steam. You see, steam will start coming out of your mouth, and immediately after that, marvelous things will start happening to you. Fabulous, unbelievable things. And you will never be miserable again in your life. Now off you go, and do exactly as I say. And don't whisper a word of this to those 2 horrible aunts of yours. And don't let those green things in there get away from you either. Because if they do escape, then they will be working their magic upon somebody else instead of you. Whoever they meet first, bug, insect, animal or tree, that will be the one who gets the full power of their magic. So hold the bag tight and don't drop it. Whatever you do, don't drop it.
The next moment, James was running back towards the house as fast as he could go. He was terribly excited. He flew through the long grass and the stinging nettles, not caring whether he got stung or not. But then suddenly, just as he was passing underneath the old peach tree that stood in the middle of the garden, his foot slipped, and he fell flat on his face in the grass. The paper bag burst open as it hit the ground, and the thousands of tiny green things were scattered in all directions. James immediately picked himself up and started searching around for his precious treasures. But they were all sinking into the soil. He could actually see them wriggling and twisting as they burrowed their way downwards into the hard earth. He began scrabbling around frantically in an effort to catch hold of them, but they were too quick for him. Each time the tips of his fingers were just about to touch them, they vanished into the earth. And soon, in the space of only a few seconds, every single one of them had gone. What in the world were they after? There was nothing down there, nothing except the roots of the old peach tree, and a whole lot of earthworms and centipedes and insects living in the soil. But what was it the old man had said?
Whoever they meet first, bug, insect, animal or tree, that will be the one who gets the full power of their magic.
Good heavens, thought James. What will happen if they do meet an earthworm, or a centipede, or a spider? And what if they get into the roots of the peach tree? Slowly, sadly, James went back to the house, feeling more miserable than ever. It wasn't until the next morning, when the 2 aunts went out into the garden, that the next exciting thing happened.
Sponge! Sponge! Come and look at this, quickly!
What is it, Spiker?
It's a peach!
A what?
A peach! Right up there on the highest branch. Can't you see it?
You're teasing me, Spiker. You're making my mouth water on purpose when there's nothing to put into it. That tree's never even had a blossom on it, let alone a peach. I can't see anything. It's probably just a... Good gracious me. Well, I'll be blowed. There really is a peach up there.
That's what I said. And it's a big one, too.
It's a beauty, Spiker.
And it looks ripe and ready to eat.
Then why don't we eat it right now? We can have half each. James?
Yes, Auntie Sponge.
I want you to climb the tree and pick that peach up there on the highest branch. Can you see it?
Yes, Auntie Sponge. I can see it.
And don't you dare eat any of it yourself. Your Aunt Sponge and I are going to have it between us right here and now. Half a peach each. Well, don't just stand there. Get on with it.
Stop! Hold everything. Look at the peach, Spiker. Just look at it.
Why? It's growing. It's getting bigger and bigger.
It's impossible. But it's true. The thing is actually getting bigger.
It's nearly twice as big already. It can't be happening.
It is happening. It must be a miracle.
Great heavens alive! I can actually see the thing bulging and swelling before my very eyes. Just look at it!
Will it ever stop? It's as big as a football already.
Get away from the tree trunk, you stupid boy! The slightest shake and it'll fall off. It must weigh 20 or 30 pounds at least.
Stand back. It's coming down. The branch is going to break.
It's bending right over, and the peach is growing faster than ever. It's nearly as fat as you, Sponge.
Oh.
It's got to stop soon. It can't go on forever.
It's halfway to the ground. It's the size of a small car.
And it's still growing.
Oh, isn't it beautiful? It's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen.
Shut up, you little twerp. It's none of your business.
That's right. It's got nothing to do with you whatsoever. Keep out of it.
Sponge, it's speeding up. It's growing faster than ever.
It's touching the ground and the branch still hasn't broken. It can't fall off now.
It's slowing down, Sponge. It's slowing down. It's stopped growing.
I believe you're right.
Do you think it's safe to touch it?
I should think so, but we'd better be careful. Oh, what a beauty! It's just perfect. Look here, Spiker. Why don't we go and get a shovel right away and dig out a great big chunk of it?
No, not yet.
Why ever not? I can't wait to get my teeth into it.
My dear Sponge, don't you see? There's a pile of money to be made out of this if we handle it right. This is the biggest peach the world has ever seen, and it's ours. People will come from all over the world to see this peach, and they'll pay good money. We'll make a fortune. We'll be millionaires. Roll up. 1 shilling to see the giant peach.
Half price for children under 6 weeks old.
One at a time, please. Don't push. You're all going to get in.
Hey, you! Come back there. You haven't paid.
It'll cost you double to bring in that camera. It's a good job we locked James in his room. The disgusting little brute would only get in everybody's way if we let him wander about. Do you know he had the cheek to say he wanted to come along this afternoon because he hadn't met any other children for years and years, and there would be lots of them down here for him to play with.
The last thing we want is the likes of him messing things up and getting in the way just as we're about to become millionaires.
We'll have to call it a day soon. There's a lot of clearing up to do, and we've got to get ready for tomorrow. There should be a lot more people as word gets around. This is only the beginning. We'd better get James to come and clear up. Pick up all the banana skins and orange peel and bits of paper.
I suppose he'll want something to eat. He hasn't had anything all day.
Oh, we're far too busy to make food. We've got the money to count.
We'll lock him out of doors until he's cleaned everything up.
Good idea. He can stay out until he's finished, even if it takes him all night.
It was a still night with a cool yellow moon riding high in the sky. After James had finished cleaning up, he walked over to where the giant peach lay glistening in the moonlight. What a dazzling sight it was, towering above him as big as a house, glinting like a tremendous silver ball, silent, mysterious, and wonderful. He put out a hand and touched it gently. It felt soft and warm and slightly furry, like the skin of a baby mouse. And then suddenly he noticed that right beside him and below him, close to the ground, there was a hole in the side of the peach. It was quite large, and he knelt down and poked his head and shoulders inside. It was a tunnel. He crawled in. The tunnel was damp and murky, and all around him there was the bitter-sweet smell of fresh peach. The floor was soggy under his knees, the walls were wet and sticky, and peach juice was dripping from the ceiling. He was crawling uphill now, as though the tunnel were leading straight towards the very centre of the gigantic fruit. He crawled on for several more yards, and then suddenly, bang! The top of his head bumped into something extremely hard, blocking his way. In front of him there was a solid wall that seemed as though it were made of wood. It certainly felt like wood, except that it was very jagged and full of deep grooves. And then he realized what it was. It was the stone in the middle of the peach. He noticed a small door cut into the face of the stone. He gave a push, and it swung open. He crawled through it and straightened up. Then he stopped, his face white with horror. For sitting round the room were the most incredible, unbelievable creatures he had ever seen. They looked like insects, but they were absolutely enormous. There was a grasshopper as big as a large dog, and a huge spider, and a great ladybird with 9 black spots on her scarlet shell. On a sofa nearby, reclining comfortably in curled-up positions, were a huge centipede and an earthworm. On the floor, over in the far corner, there was something thick and white that looked like a silkworm. Every one of these creatures was at least as big as James himself, and in the strange greenish light that shone down from somewhere in the ceiling, they were absolutely terrifying to behold.
Well, look who's here. We've been waiting for you. So what's the matter with you? You look positively ill.
He looks as though he's going to faint at any second.
Oh, my goodness, the poor thing. I do believe he thinks we're going to eat him. Don't be frightened, James. We wouldn't dream of hurting you. You're one of us now, didn't you know that?
We've been waiting for you all day. We thought you were never going to turn up. I'm glad you made it.
Yes, cheer up, my boy. And now you're here, I wish you'd give me a hand with these boots. It takes me hours to get them all off by myself.
Oh, yes, all right.
Thank you so much. You're very kind. I say, Glowworm, can't you give us some more light up there? We can't see what we're doing.
I'm doing my best. I'm not up to full power yet.
You certainly have a lot of boots.
Well, being a centipede, I have a lot of feet. 100 to be exact.
Oh, there he goes again. He simply cannot stop telling lies about his feet. He doesn't have anything like 100 of them. He's only got 42. Trouble is that most people don't bother to count them. They just take his word. And anyway, there's nothing marvellous, you know, Centipede, about having a lot of legs.
Poor fellow. He can't see how splendid I look. He's blind, you know, James. All earthworms are blind.
In my opinion, the really marvellous thing is to have no legs at all and to be able to walk just the same.
You call that walking? You're a slitherer, that's what you are. You just slither along.
No, I glide.
You are just a slimy beast.
I am not a slimy beast.
Huh?
I'm a useful and much-loved creature. Ask any gardener. I make the soil nice and light and crumbly so that things will grow in it. But as for you...
I am a pest.
He's so proud of that, though for the life of me I can't understand why.
Well, nobody loves him, that's for sure. Not like me. Or come to that, you, Mrs. Ladybird. Or you, Miss Spider. All the farmers love you because you gobble up the flies and mosquitoes which ruin their crops.
Well, I am a pest and I am proud of it. I'm the only pest in this room. Unless you count old Grasshopper over there. He's long past it now. He's too old to be a pest anymore.
Oh, young fellow, I have never been a pest in my life. I am a musician, a violinist. In fact, not only that, I am also a violin. Would you like to hear a tune?
Oh, yes, please.
All right, then. Now, just listen to this.
not bad at all.
James, have you ever in your life seen such a marvellously colossal centipede as myself?
I certainly haven't. How on earth did you get to be like that?
It was very peculiar. Let me tell you what happened. I was messing about in the garden under the old peach tree, and suddenly a funny little green thing came wriggling past my nose. Bright green it was, and extraordinarily beautiful. It looked like some kind of tiny stone or crystal.
Oh, I know what that was. It was
The same thing happened to me and to Miss Spider here.
Yes, suddenly there were little green things everywhere. The soil was full of them.
It happened to all of us, even old Silkworm and Miss Glowworm up there on the ceiling. I actually swallowed one.
So did I.
I swallowed 3. But who's telling the story anyway? How many more boots are there to come off, James?
I think I've done about 20 so far.
Yes, then that leaves 80 to go.
Oh, there he goes again. 22, not 80.
Stop pulling his leg, Earthworm.
Pulling his leg. That's a good one. Now, which leg am I pulling?
What on earth is that?
Here we go. Hold on tight, everybody. We're off at last.
James, hold tight. We are about to depart forever from the top of this ghastly hill that we've all been living on for so long. The peach stem has snapped. We're free. We are about to roll away inside this great big beautiful peach.
But where are we going?
Who knows?
Who cares? The stem has snapped and the journey has begun.
Outside in the garden, at that very moment, Aunt Sponge and Aunt Spiker had just taken their places at the front gate, and the first stream of early morning sightseers was visible in the distance, climbing up the hill to view the peach.
We shall make a fortune today, Sponge. Just look at all those people.
Yes, there are hundreds of them. Spiker, I wonder what became of that horrid little boy of ours last night. He never did come back in, did he?
No. I hope he fell down in the dark and broke his leg.
Or better still, his neck.
Just wait till I get my hands on him. He'll never want to stay out all night again. By the time I've finished with him, he'll...
Spiker, what on earth is that noise?
What noise? I can't. Sponge! It's the peach! It's broken loose! It's coming straight at us!
It's going to flatten us! Get out of my way, you skinny old hag!
Don't push me, you fat lump!
Take your hands off me! What are you trying to do? Get us both squashed?
Get out of my way!
Ridiculous, woman!
Move, move! Look out, Sponge! Sponge, run for your life! It's on us! It's going to...
That was Aunt Sponge. That was Aunt Spiker. The peach rolled on, and behind it, Aunt Sponge and Aunt Spiker lay ironed out on the grass, as flat and thin as a couple of paper dolls out of a picture book. And now the peach had broken out of the garden and was over the edge of the hill, rolling and bouncing down the steep slope at a terrific pace. The land sloped downhill all the way until it reached the ocean. The same ocean that James had begged his aunt to be allowed to visit. The peach was rushing closer to it every second, and closer also to the towering white cliffs that came first. And those cliffs were hundreds of feet high. The peach rumbled along at a tremendous pace, and now it was only 100 yards from the edge of the cliff. The gap narrowed rapidly. 50 yards, 20 yards, 10, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then the peach shot out high over the sea. It seemed to leap up into the sky and hang there suspended for a few seconds, still turning over and over in the air. And then it began to fall. Down, down, down it went. And then it hit the water with a colossal splash and sank like a stone. But a few seconds later, up it popped, and there it stayed, floating serenely on the surface of the waves. Inside the peach, all was confusion.
Some light! Could it please have some light?
Yes, light.
Come on, close
Right, I'm doing my best.
What an experience!
I shall never be the same again.
It's taken years off my life.
Where are we? Does anybody know?
Probably at the bottom of a coal mine. We certainly went down very suddenly at the last moment. I felt it in my stomach.
Pardon me, but, am I wrong in thinking that we seem to be bobbing up and down?
Oh, you're still giddy from the journey. You'll get over it in a minute.
I think Mrs. Ladybird is right. We are bobbing up and down.
There's only one way to settle it. We'll go upstairs and take a look around.
Upstairs? How do we get up there?
Miss Spider very kindly spun us a rope ladder, James. Up there through that tunnel, see? It leads straight up to the top of the peach. Come on, let's go.
It's the only way to find out.
No, but this is impossible.
Unbelievable!
Incredible! I said we were bobbing up and down.
We're in the middle of the sea.
But how did it happen? Where are the fields and the woods and...
Where is England?
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm afraid that we find ourselves in rather an awkward situation.
Awkward? No, we're finished. Every one of us is about to perish. I may be blind, but even I can see that.
We should just have to swim for it.
No! How far are we from the shore?
Yes.
About 5 miles.
I can't swim 5 miles.
I can't swim at all.
Neither can I. The grasshoppers don't swim.
Well, maybe we won't have to swim for it after all. We're floating along quite nicely. I don't think there's any immediate danger of the peach sinking. And sooner or later a ship is bound to come along and pick us up.
Yes, but what if
The boy is quite right.
That's quite right.
Yes, we're not going to sink. We are floating along beautifully. All we have to do is to keep perfectly calm. Everything will be all right in the end.
What absolute nonsense. Nothing is ever all right in the end. Well, you know it.
Poor old earthworm. He loves to make everything into a disaster. He's only happy when he's miserable. Now, isn't that odd? But then I suppose being an earthworm is enough to make anybody miserable.
Ho, 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 oh, very witty. Now, you just listen to me. If this peach is not going to sink, and if we're not going to be drowned, then everything is going to be all right. Right?
That's right. Yes, quite right.
Yes.
Wrong. Because every one of us is going to starve to death instead. Yes. None of us has had a thing to eat since yesterday morning. And where are we going to find food in the middle of the ocean?
By golly, he's right.
Of course I'm right. We shall get thinner and thinner, and possibly thinner again, and we shall all die a slow and grisly death. I'm dying already. I'm slowly shrivelling up from want of food. Personally, I'd rather drown. It's quicker.
But, Mr. Earthworm, can't you see that...
See? How can I see if I'm blind?
I'm sorry. I mean, can't you realise that we have enough food here to last us for weeks and weeks?
What are you talking about?
Why, the peach, of course. Our whole ship is made of food.
My dear James, we can't eat the peach. It's the only thing that's keeping us up.
Yes. Yes, that's true.
Well, I think James is right. We shall starve if we don't.
And we shall drown if we do.
Couldn't we just eat a little bit of it? I'm starving.
You can eat all you want. All of you. Don't you realise this peach is enormous? It would take us weeks and weeks to make any sort of dent in it. We're bound to be rescued long before then.
Good heavens, he's right again. There's plenty here to last us ages. Yes, but look here. Let's not go making a lot of holes all over the deck. Let's work from the inside, starting with the tunnel.
That's an excellent idea.
And what are you looking so worried about, Earthworm, old boy? What's the problem now?
The problem is...
Yes?
There is no problem.
Cheer up, Earthworm. Come on, everybody. Let's eat.
This is delicious. Absolutely marvellous.
Yes, fabulous. What a heavenly taste. You know, James, up until this moment I have never in my life tasted anything except those tiny little green flies that live on rose bushes. They have a perfectly delightful flavour, but this peach is even better.
Isn't it glorious? Personally, I'd always thought that a big, juicy, caught-in-the-web bluebottle was the finest dinner in the world. Until I tasted this.
What a flavour! It's terrific. I've never tasted anything like it, and I should know, because I personally have tasted everything.
Hold it a minute, a centipede. What's that funny thin black thing gliding through the water over there?
Well, oh yes, I see. There are 2 of them.
There are some more over this side.
There are dozens of them.
What are they?
They must be some kind of fish.
Oh, no. Did you say funny, thin, black things?
Yes.
They are fish, all right. And I know what sort of fish, too. They're sharks. Those are their fins, you see. You know what that means?
Well, just assuming they are sharks, they can't possibly be any danger if we stay up here. Can they?
Well, I shouldn't think.
They're attacking the peach!
They're biting great chunks out of it.
We're finished. They'll eat up the whole peach, and then there'll be nothing left for us to stand on.
And then they'll start on us.
Oh, don't want to be eaten. They'll take me first because I'm so fat and juicy.
James, isn't there anything we can do?
Well, there is something. I'm not sure if it'll work, but we're going to need some very strong string.
What sort of string?
Any sort, just so long as it's strong.
Oh, we've got all the string you want.
Where?
Well, the silkworm. He's still downstairs. He never moves. He just lies there sleeping all day. But we can easily wake him up and make him spin.
And I can spin too. I can spin just as well as the silkworm. And what's more, I can spin patterns.
Can you make enough between you?
We can make as much as you want, but...
And quickly?
Of course.
And would it be strong?
The strongest there is. But what are you going to do?
I'm going to lift this peach clear out of the water.
Oh, you must
Be quiet, be quiet, everybody. James, how are you going to do it?
With seagulls.
Seagulls?
Yes, seagulls. The place is full of them. Look up there. I'm going to take a long silk string and I'm going to loop one end of it round a seagull's neck. And then I'm going to tie the other end to the stem of the peach. Then I'm going to get another seagull and do the same thing again. And then another, and another.
Ridiculous.
Those poppycock.
Mad.
All the dash! How can a few seagulls lift an enormous thing like this up into the air? And all of us as well? It would take hundreds of them.
Then we'll use hundreds of them. There's no shortage of seagulls. Look for yourself. We'll need 400, 500, maybe even 1,000. I don't know. I shall simply go on hooking them up to the stem until we have enough to lift us. They'll be bound to lift us in the end. It's like balloons. You give someone enough balloons to hold and up he goes. And a seagull has far more lifting power than a balloon.
Oh, no, you're absolutely off your head. How on earth do you propose to get a loop of string around a seagull's neck? I suppose you're going to fly up there yourself and catch it.
The boy is dotty.
No, let him finish. Go on, James. How would you do it?
With bait.
Bait? What sort of bait?
With a worm, of course. Seagulls love worms. And luckily for us, we have the biggest, fattest, pinkest, juiciest worm in the whole world, right here.
Hold it. You can stop right there. If you think for one moment
The seagulls have already spotted him. That's why there are so many of them circling round. But they don't come down to get him while all the rest of us are standing here. So this is what we're going to do.
Stop. Stop. I won't have it. I absolutely refuse.
Will you be quiet and mind your own business?
Mind my... Well, I like that.
You're going to be eaten anyway, so what difference does it make whether it's sharks or seagulls?
No, I won't do it.
Now, why don't we hear what the plan is first?
I don't give a hoot what the plan is. I'm not going to be pecked to death by a bunch of seagulls. Peck.
You will be a martyr, my son. Your name will be in the papers. Earthworm gives life to save friends.
But he won't have to give his life. Now listen, this is what we're going to do. We'll all go below except Earthworm. He will lie half in and half out of the tunnel. Grasshopper and Ladybird will be holding on to him, and I'll be just out of sight with a loop of string in my hands. When the seagull swoops down, Grasshopper and Ladybird will pull Earthworm down into the tunnel at the last moment, and I'll throw the loop of the string round the seagull's neck.
Ridiculous.
And then I'll tie the other end of the string to the peach stem as the seagull flies up. About 50 yards of string should do it.
Why, it's absolutely brilliant.
The boy is a genius.
Oh, I shall be pecked to death. I won't even be able to see them coming.
I won't let them touch you.
Oh, thank
But
you.
we've got to hurry. Look down there. There are more sharks than ever round the peach. The water is boiling with them. Action stations. There's not a moment to lose. All hands below deck except Earthworm. Centipede, hop downstairs and get the silkworm spinning.
Right.
Tell him to spin as he's never spun before. Our lives depend on it. And the same applies to you, Miss Spider. Yes. Start spinning.
How many is that, James?
499.
Silkworm says he's running out of silk. He says he can't keep it up much longer. Nor can Miss Spider.
Tell them they've got to. They can't stop now.
Very good.
James, we're lifting. I felt it.
I can't stand much more of this. I think I'm going to have one of my turns.
I think we're clearing the water.
One more should do it. Steady now, Earthworm. Here he comes. Pull! Pull! Got it! That's 500 seagulls. And we're going up.
No! No more, please! No more!
Look out! Here we go!
We're up! We're clear of the water! We've done it!
Up, and away they went, soaring through the air like a balloon, borne aloft by 500 seagulls. Soon the ocean lay far below them, and they glided smoothly on, heading westwards. All through the afternoon they moved gently through the sky, and as night began closing in, James and his companions crouched close together on top of the peach. Clouds like mountains towered high above their heads on all sides, mysterious, menacing, overwhelming. Gradually, it grew darker and darker. And then a pale 3/4 moon came up, casting an eerie light over the whole scene. The giant peach swayed gently from side to side as it floated along, and the hundreds of silky white strings stretching upwards from its stem glinted in the moonlight. Except for the wind, there was not a sound anywhere. Several times during that long, silent night ride high up over the middle of the ocean, James and his friends saw things that no one had ever seen before. Once, as they drifted silently past a massive white cloud, they saw on top of it a group of strange, tall, wispy-looking things that were about twice the height of an ordinary man. They were not easy to see at first, because they were almost as white as the cloud itself. But as the Peach sailed closer, it became obvious that they were actually living creatures.
I don't like this. I don't like it at all. What are they, James?
Shh. Don't let them hear you. They're cloud men.
Cloud men? I'm glad I can't see them. I would probably scream.
I hope they don't turn around and see us.
Do you think they would eat us?
They'd eat you. They'd cut you up like a salami and eat you in thin slices.
But what are they doing?
They seem to be grabbing handfuls of cloud and rolling them up into small hard balls like marbles.
And they're putting them all into one big pile over there. Look!
What are they doing that for?
Well, I'm certainly not afraid of them.
Oh, be quiet, you pest. We shall all be eaten if they see us.
What are they doing now?
All right, boys. That's enough. Get the shovels. Down they go.
This'll keep 'em busy.
Faster, faster.
They're hailstones. They've been making hailstones. They're showering them down onto the people below.
Hailstones? That's ridiculous. This is summertime. You don't have hailstones in summertime. And anyway, there isn't anybody below. We're over the sea.
They're practicing for the winter.
Well, anyway, they don't look very dangerous to me.
For heaven's sake, Centipede, don't make so much noise.
Oh, those imbeciles don't scare me. Watch this. Hey, you idiots! What are you up to? What on earth do you think you're doing over there? You half-wits!
Now you've done it! They've seen us!
I'm not frightened of them. Just let them try anything, that's all. Why, I'll... Oof! Something hit me.
Quick, lie down, everybody. Lie down flat on the deck. They're pelting us with hailstones. Down the tunnel, quickly, or we'll all be wiped out.
I'm a wreck. I'm wounded all over.
That'll serve you right. You started it with your stupid shouting.
Would somebody kindly look and see if my shell is cracked?
No, I think it's all right.
Give us some light, glowworm.
I can't. My bulb's broken.
Haven't you got a spare? You should always carry a spare.
I can't think of everything. Hang on a minute, I may have one somewhere. Oh, yes. Here we are. There.
Oh, that's better. Now we can see what we're doing.
Be quiet. Listen. I think they've stopped. The seagulls must have pulled us away out of danger.
Thank goodness for that. I said we should be careful.
You said we should be careful. You were the one who started all. Shouting, you idiot.
Let's hope we don't run into any more cloud men.
Well, if we do, for heaven's sake, keep your mouth shut, Centipede.
Yes, Centipede.
And now the seagulls flew faster and faster, skimming across the sky at a tremendous pace, with the Peach trailing out behind them. Cloud after cloud went by on either side, all of them ghostly white in the moonlight. And several more times during the night they caught glimpses of cloudmen moving around on the tops of the clouds, working their sinister magic upon the world below. Once they passed a snow machine in operation, with the cloudmen turning the handle, and a blizzard of snowflakes blowing out of the great funnel. They saw the huge drums that were used for making thunder, and the cloudmen beating them furiously with long hammers. They saw the frost factories and the wind producers, and the places where cyclones and tornadoes were manufactured and sent spinning down towards the earth. Hours later, just before dawn, they all sat in silence watching the sun as it came up slowly over the rim of the horizon for a new day. And when full daylight came at last, they all got to their feet and stretched their cramped bodies, and then the Centipede suddenly shouted,
Look! Look down there, everybody! It's land!
land!
I'm not sure, but it looks like streets and houses.
But how enormous they all are. What tremendously tall buildings. I've never seen anything like them in England. Which town do you think it is?
Oh, this couldn't possibly be England.
Then where is it?
You know what those buildings are? Those are skyscrapers. This is America. And that means that we have crossed the Atlantic Ocean overnight.
The
Atlantic Ocean?
You know, I've always dreamed of going to America. I had a friend once.
Who cares about your friend, Centipede? The thing we've got to worry about now is how on earth we're going to get down to Earth.
I don't think that will be very difficult. All we have to do is to cut loose a few seagulls. Not too many, but just enough so that the others can't quite keep us up in the air. Then down we shall go slowly and gently until we reach the ground. Come on, Centipede, bite through one of the strings.
Yeah? All right, here goes.
Bite another.
Right. There you are.
Well, why aren't we sinking?
We are sinking.
No, we're not.
Don't forget the peach is a lot lighter now than when we started out. It lost an awful lot of juice during the shark attack and when the hailstones hit it in the night. Cut away 2 more seagulls, Centipede.
Right.
Ah, that's better.
Here we go.
Now we really are sinking.
Yes, this is perfect. Don't bite any more, Centipede, or we'll sink too fast. Gently does it.
Look, the buildings and streets are coming closer and closer.
Do you think we'll get our pictures in the papers when we get down?
Oh, yes, I should think so. Good gracious, I haven't polished my shoes.
Oh, for heaven's sake, can't you ever stop thinking about you?
Wait a minute. What's that?
Oh, no! It's an aeroplane!
And it's coming straight for us.
It's going to pass right over us.
This is the end. Do something, James. Do something quickly.
Look out! Oh, no! It's cut through all the strings! We're going down!
Down and down they went, and the skyscrapers rushed up to meet them. The very tallest skyscraper of all had a top that tapered off into a long, sharp point, like an enormous silver needle sticking up into the sky. And it was precisely onto the top of this needle that the peach fell. There was a loud squelch. The needle went in deep, and there was the giant peach caught and spiked upon the very pinnacle of the Empire State Building.
It's a flying saucer. It's from outer space.
Okay. Stand back. We'll handle this.
Look, they're coming out. They're creatures from outer space, I tell you.
Hand me those binoculars, Joe.
They're monsters! The ugliest monsters I've ever seen! Quick, Joe! Radio into headquarters! Get the fire department here! In the Army! In the Air Force! These things are space creatures! And they may be dangerous! Okay, folks, don't panic. The situation's under control.
Hey, officer, do you think those guys have got ray guns?
I can't see anything that looks like a... Hey, wait a minute. Holy Moses, I don't believe it. There's a little boy up there. A little boy in short pants.
Gee.
Yeah, he's waving. They're all waving. They're standing in a line on top of that thing and waving to us.
And so the journey of the giant peach ended. And as for the travellers, they all settled down in America and became rich and successful. The Centipede was made president of a firm of boot and shoe manufacturers. The earthworm, with his lovely pink skin, was employed by a company making television commercials to advertise face cream. The silkworm and Miss Spider set up a factory to make ropes for circus tightrope walkers. The glowworm became the light inside the torch on the Statue of Liberty and saved the city a fortune in electricity bills. The grasshopper became a member of the New York Symphony Orchestra, where his playing was greatly admired. The ladybird, who had been haunted all her life by the fear that her house was on fire, married the head of the fire department and lived happily ever after. And as for the enormous peach stone, it was set up permanently in a place of honor in Central Park and became a famous monument. And inside it, there lived a famous person, James Henry Trotter himself. Every day, hundreds and hundreds of children from far and near came pouring into the city to visit him. And James Henry Trotter, who once, if you remember, had been the saddest and loneliest little boy that you could find, now had all the friends and playmates he could ever want.